Now we're going back for another segment of Tarantino Unchained.
The Tarantino 10.
His second movie from 1994 is, in my opinion, probably his best, Pulp Fiction. Start with a huge star-studded cast. You got Sam Jackson, John Travolta, Uma Thurman, Ving Rhames, Bruce Willis,
Keitel.
Harvey
And
Keitel is
apparently
in it.
Steve
Yeah,
Buscemi was in it, but I missed him.
Steve Buscemi. Oh, Tim Roth is back.
Oh yeah, Tim Roth is back.
So these are just random stories, but they're all interconnected. They all connect to each other.
And the time goes all over the place. It never really resolves itself.
So this movie was a comeback movie for two of the actors in it, for John Travolta.
Oh, big time for John Travolta.
And also Bruce Willis. Now Bruce Willis was
a comeback for him?
Well, Bruce Willis was always working. However, he didn't really have any hits, but this one put him back into superstardom.
I had forgotten he was in it.
Well, remember, John Travolta, all John Travolta had before this was those god-awful talking baby movies.
We hadn't seen him
which
for a
Bruce
while.
Willis was in as well, because he was the voice of the baby.
Oh, well, I guess.
So they both their careers were on a downhill because they were in those talking baby movies.
Looking back on it, Bruce Willis has always been a famous guy because he had a lot of movies going on, but Travolta was no one had heard from him, and he was in this. I'm sure he was cast because of his dancing. And
possibly.
It was a great cast decision.
Now, other actors such as Sam Jackson, Uma Thurman, Harvey Keitel, they were working, but for the first two, Sam Jackson and Uma Thurman, they had been working for a while. This was the movie that really made them break out. Because after this,
was very young.
Then Sam Jackson was in tons of things, and then she started being in tons of things. Right. After that, she was in British Avengers, not the MCU Avengers, the British kind of boring version.
She was in
and
Bill.
Yeah, well, that was because Tarantino cast her, but
yeah.
Then she was in Batman and Robin, which probably killed her career again, unfortunately.
Been in a lot of things. I really liked her. She was recently in The Imposters. I love that show. The Imposters. I think it's canceled now, but she was a villain, and she was a really good villain.
I think the only person who probably didn't do well from this movie, I'm thinking it was Ving Rhames, because he kind of became known as the guy who. Let's say had his butt violated in this movie, which, by the way, this movie's not for kids. It's a rated hard R.
Oh yeah, it's not the romantic comedy that Terry and I thought it was. That was actually the last time I did see it. I only saw it that one time, I'm pretty sure.
This was only your second viewing.
I think so, because it was such a joke, because we thought we'd go rent a romantic comedy for the evening, and we thought that's what it was, and then we're like, this is not a romantic
There's
comedy.
A lot of F-bombs. There's a lot of the N-word in this.
The N-word again. But for some reason, I didn't mind it as much in this one. But
that's
still, it
all
shouldn't
of
be using it.
Tarantino's movies. That's almost all of them.
I shouldn't be using that word. Anyway.
That's how Tarantino writes his scripts. And
I don't know if
unfortunately, that's how a lot of people talk.
I don't think he does that anymore. But at the time.
Really? Did you see The Hateful Eight?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, you're going to love that one.
Anyway, there's a lot of slang. There's other slang in it that I didn't even understand.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of other racial slurs. So if you don't like that, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say them, but I definitely heard a bunch of them. Christopher Walken's in for about 5 minutes, but it does end on a funny joke.
Hilarious. The
story of the watch.
It is a lot like the first one that we just saw. It really does harken back to some of that, like the sitting at the table having your coffee and stuff like that. Anyway, it's really well done. I don't it does kind of glamorize drugs for a little bit, but then it shows what can happen if you don't. But it would have been nice if she didn't make it. Anyway.
Yeah, so you learn what happens during a drug overdose.
Yeah, I wish that she's so perfect afterwards. But anyway.
That whole scene with John Travolta and what's his guy, the Back to the Future guy.
Eric Stoltz,
yeah. Do you know that story about how he got screwed over on Back to the Future?
No, I know he was like a big actor in the 80s.
I haven't read up on this recently, so don't quote me on this. You can look this up on the internet for yourself. But here's the gist of the story. He was cast to play Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
But the producers really wanted Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
So they started production,
Yeah.
and then Michael J. Fox agreed to do the movie.
Right. Well,
So
he
the
was the main
listen,
character of his sitcom.
listen, the cast and crew knew what was happening, but they still had to keep filming with Eric Stoltz. And then suddenly they like shows up one day, and the producers are like, "Yeah, Michael J. Fox is taking this role. Get out! You're fired."
Oh.
And that kind
That's
of
why
killed
he
his
didn't
career
act
in the
anymore.
'80s.
Well, I don't know if it killed his career. He chose not to act anymore, but probably maybe
that's
Tarantino
rough.
was friends with him. I don't know, because I don't see him in anything anymore.
He was also in The Butterfly Effect
I don't remember
with
that.
Ashton
I'd
Kutcher.
say he probably just does what he feels
Listen,
like.
that whole scene where Uma Thurman is ODing and they're all freaking out and they got to give her an adrenaline shot. I found that scene hilarious. I was laughing like crazy. I know what's going to happen, and it's not funny if you're in that situation, but how they're all acting, they're just freaking out. Get her out of here. You can't bring her here. No, you don't understand. And, sorry, what are some highlights of this movie for you, since this is only your second time viewing it?
Well, I remembered it a lot, though, from the first time. It's
Mhm.
something you don't really forget.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, the characters, the way they are, you get so much of their personality.
Mhm.
The way that he does it, like you learn you see this world, and Vincent especially.
Vincent Vega.
He's such an interesting
So,
character.
Vincent Vega is constantly sitting on the can, to his
It's
detriment.
all about the can, actually.
You
There's a
know
lot of
why?
can in
It makes sense for his character. You know why he's always sitting on the can?
He wants to read his book.
Because he's a heroin addict.
Oh, I don't know anything
And
about that.
what happens when you're on heroin or, say, morphine in the
I
hospital?
thought he was into cocaine. Okay.
He was shooting up heroin.
Oh, okay.
That's what he
I
bought
don't
from Eric Stoltz.
I guess so.
And
No, yeah, she was
by the way,
cocaine.
don't show this to kids, only because it's a hard R, but they make drug use seem like the coolest thing ever.
They do.
When he's shooting up.
I don't like that part
But
of it.
listen, you will know this from being on morphine in the hospital. When you're on heroin or morphine,
Oh, yeah.
it makes you constipated.
I learned that lesson once. That's why I never take it.
Yeah. So
I don't take it anymore. If I
he's
ever
a
have surgery.
heroin addict.
No, thank you.
He takes heroin, so that's why he's always on the can, because he's always constipated.
Well, you're not on the can very often.
So that's why when the diner's being robbed, where is he? He's sitting on the can. And then later on, we see his end when he's supposed to be staking out Butch's apartment. Where is he? He's on the can.
I guess. I don't know if that was what they were intending. Yes.
No, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I never. I had one surgery and I had those drugs, and then no, never again.
Yeah, if you're in the hospital. Yeah, that's Christine's advice. If you're ever in the hospital and you have a chance to take morphine, don't, because it makes you really bad constipated.
Tylenol. By the way, people, take the Tylenol.
Just don't
You can handle it.
Just don't take the Oxycontin.
Oh no, they never gave me that.
But we're not here to talk about that. I didn't really enjoy Butch's story that much. I mean, the story of the watch with Christopher Walken was hilarious. Okay, that's a very interesting watch. But
he was just really dumb, and you get really frustrated with him. It's almost like a horror movie when they go split up and go into the woods by themselves in the dark. That's what he is. He's like in a horror movie. He's doing all the things that you shouldn't do, right? And you're just like, don't go back.
I didn't enjoy that story, but I did enjoy when he's in that pawn shop and he's like, no, I can't leave. And he goes back to save Ving Rhames because Ving Rhames is having his butthole violated. So anyway, he starts looking for weapons, and he keeps finding better and better weapons, and that was
really
great.
Funny.
He looks in a drawer, he pulls out a hammer. Then he finds a bat. Then he sees on the shelf there's these chainsaws.
And then there's a katana.
And then he looks on the shelf, and there's a katana. He's like, oh yeah, that's it. And then he slaughters those guys with that katana.
There's a lot of humor in it. But it's a lot, but it's still funny.
Yeah, it's meant to be funny, but it's also really
it's very
gross and R-rated.
That they're handling in it are very
either way
not funny things. Anyway, it's well done. It's interesting the timeline, and you understand why they're wearing the shorts and all this kind of stuff.
But
you're like,
after this movie, this is the movie that made Sam Jackson cool forever. I mean, before this,
he gave him so many good things.
He was in Goodfellas before this, but once he was in this movie, Sam Jackson was like megastar forever, and he's just been in nothing but huge franchises since then.
like he gave him so many great things to say. Sam Jackson must have been jumping over the world for this
think
script.
one of his, I don't know if it's his next movie, but one of the next movies after this in '95 was Jurassic Park that he was in.
Oh, is he Jurassic Park? I haven't seen them in forever.
Yeah, because he was one of the techs there.
All I remember is Newman was in it.
Yeah, so he was one of the techs that had to work with
Really?
Nedry, Newman.
Oh, I don't remember.
And then he had to fix the problems.
I've seen them in years.
Okay, but he's in so many big franchises. So Sam Jackson's in Pulp Fiction. He's in a lot of the Tarantino movies. He's in Jurassic Park. He's in Star Wars. He was in...
But they didn't use him right in Star Wars.
He was in Die Hard 3 with Bruce Willis.
He should have been used better in Star Wars.
When did Die Hard 3 come out? Was it before or after this movie? I don't remember.
Mace Windu was like such a boring character. What a waste of Sam Jackson.
Mace Windu is the most boring man in the galaxy.
I never did see snakes on a plane. I think he's in that. Is he not?
Yeah, he is.
And that just, to me, I just like, what is he? Is he out for the cash? Like... Okay, we know what the movie's about at least.
Pulp Fiction currently has a 92% certified fresh critic rating and a 96% audience score with over 250,000 ratings. Yeah. People love this movie. It didn't win Best Picture this year, unfortunately.
It's got some gruesome stuff in it. It's got really hard topics. It does glamorize drugs a bit. So those are like the drawbacks.
It's all about glamorizing criminal culture here, okay?
And so it's...
I mean, even Sam Jackson with his wallet.
It's saying some
Remember
bad
his wallet? What does his wallet say?
By the way, if someone sees you with that wallet, you're not getting that wallet.
It's a pop culture reference.
I'm not getting you that for your birthday.
You can buy that wallet on Amazon right now.
I know, you showed me. You're not getting that wallet. Maybe I'll embroider you one saying "very awesome husband." That's the wallet you're gonna get.
You know who doesn't get enough credit for this movie is Tim Roth. He's great in this.
Tim Roth is great.
Even better than he was in Reservoir Dogs.
He had a lot to work with in Reservoir Dogs. He doesn't have as much to work with in this one. But
still gets a lot of dialogue.
He does. I think, it's just he's a good actor.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, I think it's still, I don't like some of the topics, but it's a fabulous movie. It's fabulously put together. You go away, like I only saw it the one time, but I certainly remembered most of what was happening, and it's a really good movie. But not for kids.
No, not like for kids.
Almost not for Christine in a way, some of it.
So in terms of your rankings, now, I really enjoyed Reservoir Dogs, but Pulp Fiction's even better.
It's more sophisticated. It's taking elements of that. It's more sophisticated. So
in terms of our Tarantino 10, as you're calling it,
yeah.
Is Pulp Fiction your number one and Reservoir Dogs number two, or is it the other way around?
Well, so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Both are brilliant in their own way, but I think this one he's refining things.
I give this a best movie ever. What do you give this?
Oh, yeah.
The best movie ever? Even though you don't do that?
97, 96.
So next, unfortunately, we got one that I didn't enjoy.
Oh.
And that is Jackie Brown.
I never saw Jackie Brown. I've seen quotes from
97.
I've seen it.
I'm not a big fan of that one. I saw it once. I think we rented it from Blockbuster. And I didn't enjoy it. I found it kind of boring. But hopefully I'll look at it from a different viewpoint. Hopefully maybe I'll appreciate it more.
Was a long time ago.
We didn't mention Harvey Keitel is great in Pulp Fiction. As the wolf, he just shows up in his Acura. Why is he driving an Acura?
Early in the morning?
Yeah, who was a funeral?
Early in the morning, and he's like dressed all. It looked like it was a wake or something.
Yeah, it's 8 in the morning, and he's at a funeral.
It looked like he was at one. I don't really know. Anyway, someone knows what he's doing there. It was a wedding. I thought it was a wake or something. Anyway, that was just funny. Anyway. Okay. The characters are well written. Even we only see him for like a few minutes, but you know what he's about.
But Harvey Keitel is like infinitely cool in my opinion now after doing this role. I don't know what he's like in real life, but
what you get from this film and the other film is character development.
Oh, it's all character and dialogue.
It's got a lot more scenery in it, a lot more like places where they go, a lot more things to look at. But it's the characters. You really get the character development. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching this. Did you enjoy watching Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, please. Maybe give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Do you like Pulp Fiction? Maybe you don't enjoy it. Maybe it's too R-rated for you. Maybe you didn't like what happened to Ving Rhames, you know? It's a bit graphic.
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
So
it's not in that way. They don't show much on that.
Yeah.
It's just you use your imagination.
There's a lot of drug use and a lot of crazy stuff in this. The 50 Diner was interesting. Anyway, let us know your thoughts. And that was part 2 of Tarantino Unchained.